us, governance is all about the well-being of the people. We have been elected to serve. Ours is the government for the people. That is why, since 2017, we have spent a total of 900 million in keeping nearly 110,000 trainee teachers and trainee nurses in training. We are for the ordinary Ghanaians. That is why, until schools were forced to close down, we were feeding 2.9 million children every day, 78% more than 1.6 million who were fed in 2017. We are in government for every family in Ghana, no matter where you are. That is why we have spent 3 billion to provide free education for 1.2 million high school students and TVET students. We connect with the aspirations of hardworking Ghanaians looking for a push to start or support their small businesses. That is why 19,000 young people have been trained and some funded to start up their own businesses under NEIP. In addition, 97,876 Ghanaians have seen their businesses benefiting from some 100 million cedis credit facility so far disbursed by Maslow since 2017. We feel the desperation of young graduates struggling to land a job. That is why we have invested 1.6 billion to recruit 100,000 of them under NAPCO. Mr. Speaker, the evidence is all around us. With all things that the Ofori Atta administration have had to endure and overcome in January 2017, we stayed focused on the all-important task of making government work for every Ghanaian. We remember also well how the previous government, after imposing the inconvenient and income-sapping doomsday on households and businesses for 5 years, and insensitively increased electricity prices first by 89%, then by 10%, then by 78% and 20%, and finally by 59% between 2010 and 2015 alone. It took courage, Mr. Speaker, and care for President Akufo-Addo to do what no other government have been able to do before, which is a net reduction of electricity tariffs by 11% since 2017. Such is the higher level of care today, that today, nearly 4 years in office, electricity prices for Ghanaians, households and businesses all included, remain cheaper in both nominal and real terms than what they were before 2017. Mr. Speaker, the reason is simple. It is because we put the concerns and aspirations of the ordinary Ghanaian first. That is also why we further reduce electricity prices by half and completely provide portable water for free for everybody since March this year. And we will extend it for another 3 months. To break it down, Mr. Speaker, it takes a caring government of the people, and with that, I mean a government of all the people, to offer cost-free water to all across the country, representing all domestic and commercial customers in Ghana for 3 months. Mr. Speaker, it takes a caring government to be for the people and for business, large and small, to choose to subsidize electricity consumption by 50% to 4 million households and nearly 700,000 businesses at a cost of 1 billion in 3 months. And we will extend the coverage for lifeline customers for another 3 months. Mr. Speaker, it takes a caring government to hear the distress of business and respond with support to small and medium businesses to the tune of 600 million cedis in order to help them survive and thrive in these uncertain times. The CAP bus will be increased by 150 million cedis to help many more SMEs, including 50 million for the creative arts industry, the media, and private universities. It takes a caring government to establish a guarantee scheme of up to 2 billion cedis to enable businesses to borrow from banks at more affordable rates and at longer tenor to save their businesses and retain jobs. This will be established. Mr. Speaker, it takes a caring government to provide seed funding to set up retraining and skills improvement program in partnership with labor and employers and with pay-based organizations. The seed fund will help workers who are laid off to either improve their skills or acquire new skills to improve their chances of finding new employment or set up their own businesses. Mr. Speaker, it takes a caring government to partner employers to initiate an unemployment insurance scheme to provide temporary income support to workers when they lose their jobs. Mr. Speaker, the caring government and the central bank to create an environment banks to provide 7 billion CDs to help their clients through loan restructurings, interest rate reductions, and granting of new facilities and offering of moratoria on debt servicing. Going forward, government and Bank of Ghana will work with the banks to extend some of these reliefs. This caring government, Mr. Speaker, provided over 2.74 million cooked and dry foods to the poor and vulnerable persons in Accra and Kumasi during the 3-day lockdown. Today, government has paid 75.4 million as full cost cover for WASI examinations for all 313,837 SHS3 students. This is caring government. A responsive and caring government is one that with urgency and military precision managed to fund and provide the logistical support to supply 5.2 million reusable face masks, 64,700 Veronica buckets, accompanying sanitizers to all final year students at tertiary, senior, and junior high schools levels in Ghana to return to school and write their examinations. A responsible and caring government is one that sees it as necessary to show support and appreciation to the 137,000 health workers with reliefs valued at 320 million and provide insurance cover for them. Mr. Speaker, the future is about digitalization. Data is now becoming as essential as water and electricity, especially for our youth and businesses. The COVID-19 pandemic has reaffirmed this, especially as more people work remotely and also access education and health services. This caring government, Mr. Speaker, has worked diligently to digitalize the economy over the last 3.5 years. We need to further speed up the digitalization effort where every citizen nationwide has access to the internet and other digital services. As such, going forward, government will work with the telcos and the Electricity Company of Ghana to roll out fiber across the country on the back of the electricity distribution network, so every citizen nationwide, Mr. Speaker, will have access to high-speed broadband. In the short term, Mr. Speaker, we'll reduce the communication sales tax CST from 9% to 5%. We will reduce the CST tax from 9% to 5%. To reduce the cost of communication service to the consumer. As more and more people work remotely and utilize online services, we will count on the telcos to match this reduction in the CST by reducing their tariffs. This is important for our youth, entrepreneurs, and the burgeoning fintech industry. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has been hit with a health pandemic and global economic recession. These have resulted in revenue shortfalls of 13.6 billion and unanticipated but necessary expenditures of approximately 11.7 billion. This will result in a projected fiscal deficit, Mr. Speaker, of 11.4% of GDP. This is above the 5% limit as stated in the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2018, Act 982. Mr. Speaker, Ghana is not unique in this regard. The pandemic has caused other countries, including the 26 countries in the EU and Brazil, Jamaica, Costa Rica, etc., to suspend their fiscal rules in 2020 in light of their sharply increased fiscal deficits. Mr. Speaker, given our history our government history of rectitude, it is with great difficulty that we are having to suspend our fiscal rule due to exogenous factors. We intend to return to compliance with the FRA in the shortest possible time. Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we do not only survive this pandemic, however, and thrive, this government is rolling out the 3.5-year Ghana Cares Recovery and Revitalization Program. The Coronavirus Alleviation and Revitalization of Enterprises Support Program, or BATAMPA program, allows us to recreate our economy and set it on a course that we yearn for. It will involve an investment, Mr. Speaker, of 100 billion Ghana cedis from 2021 to 2023, of which 7 billion will come from the private sector and 30 billion from the public sector. Mr. Speaker, we consider the CARES program truly groundbreaking, as it requires radical reforms in government, particularly in revenue generation, and a radical improvement in doing business for the private sector. It also adopts a whole of government implementation approach and fosters closer collaboration with the private sector to give a sustainable future to Ghanaians, as captured earlier. Mr. Speaker, as you can see, every aspect of the lives of Ghanaians will be dramatically impacted with the implementation of this program, ranging from what we eat to where we live to where we work. Mr. Speaker, government will vigorously promote the consumption of locally produced goods and services in order to support local businesses and generate employment. To this end, MDAs and MMDAs will be required, Mr. Speaker, to prioritize the procurement of local goods and services, and our Public Procurement Authority and Central Tender Review Committees shall be so instructed. The aim is to generate local demand and consumption with the full force of government's procurement capacity to ensure that most of government procurements will be sourced locally. Mr. Speaker, we are in extraordinary times for extraordinary leadership. Accordingly, on behalf of the President of the Republic, I have presented to you an extraordinary mid-year fiscal policy review that seeks to reorganize our public finances to protect lives, secure incomes, revitalize businesses, and focus our energies on driving the economy back on track to building a Ghana beyond aid. It involves a recognition that the solutions to Ghana's problems lie with Ghanaians, and that with inspiring leadership, Ghanaians can find a way to address their own challenges. Let me reiterate, Mr. Speaker, the President's plan for the next 3.5 years. 1. An unprecedented 100 billion Ghana Cares or BATAMPA program to transform and modernize our economy. 2. For the next 6 months, reduce CST from 9% to 5%. B. Establish a 2 billion guarantee facility to support all sectors of business and job retention to get appropriate loans. C. Establish an unemployment insurance scheme. D. Create a 100 million CD fund for and faith-based organizations for retraining and skills development. Increase the CAP program by 150 million cedis to, among others, facilitate credit of 50 million to support the creative arts, the media, and the Conference of Independent Universities. F. Retain provision of free water for the next 3 months. Retain free, and finally, Mr. Speaker, retain free electricity for all Lifeline customers for the rest of the year. The agenda of the President is to modernize Ghana for all Ghanaians. Thankfully, Mr. Speaker, the agenda of the government is to modernize Ghana for all Ghanaians. Thankfully, Mr. Speaker, this leader, Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is only in his first term in office. Mr. Speaker, before I finally conclude, let me pay tribute to all Ghanaians who have endured the difficult and drastic fallouts from the ravage of this virus, an unknown enemy. Enduring lockdown, social distancing, mandatory wearing of masks, to taking our entrepreneurial spirit in our hands have proven the can-do spirit of the Ghanaian. Our endurance is emblematic of the biblical Job who persevered in the hope that God will show him at the right time. Together with James, the brother of Jesus, in James chapter 1 verse 4, I will say to them, let endurance complete its work, so that you may be complete and sound in all respects, not lacking, Mr. Speaker, in anything. Mr. Speaker, as often repeated by the President, this too shall pass. I'm confident that with government working closely with this House, we will emerge from this crisis even more united and purposeful. As Ghanaians, I'm confident that with the government working closely with this House, we will emerge from this crisis even more united and purposeful as Ghanaians to fulfill our manifest destiny as a Black Star of Africa. Mr. Speaker, this mid-year fiscal policy review and its programs draws us closer to our collective aspirations. While this pandemic requires us to exceed the limits imposed by the FRA Act 982, we have had to make these major expenditures to protect lives and livelihood of Ghanaians and sustain businesses. We therefore request a supplementary budget of 11,896,477,566 cedis to enable us continue this extraordinary task. Mr. Speaker, before I take my seat, allow me to express sincere gratitude for the enormous support this House has extended me since taking office. I truly appreciate the long hours honorable members of Parliament sat through, considering and passing key bills and measures for the Asempa budget in 2017, the Jumapa budget in 2018, the Impontu budget of 2019, and the Nkosuo and Carbon budget of 2020, and now the Obatampa program. Mr. Speaker, the task ahead is great, yet a noble and glorious challenge. A challenge, Mr. Speaker, which calls for the courage to dream, the courage to believe, the courage to dare, and the courage to do. The courage to work and courage to attain excellence in achievement. As a government, we have dared to dream. We have dared to dream, we have dared to believe, to work, and to achieve. Mr. Speaker, this caring government shall continue, in the words of Job, to be the eyes of the blind, the feet of the lame, and the father of the needy, and champion against injustice for all and traders. Wherever it rears its ugly head, let us as a nation, Mr. Speaker, choose joy and know that He will restore the years that the locust has eaten. Mr. Speaker, the Lord indeed reigns. Clearly we can and will do more with the privilege of service to God and country. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move.